Welcome to Milk Market Tidbit for the May cold storage report that USDA released yesterday afternoon. This is Dr. Lawrence Jones with Farm Institute, and I'm recording this on Thursday, June the 26th. So the cold storage report is our second report of the month, and kind of thinking about it, it's kind of like open up the refrigerator after Thanksgiving dinner and kind of saying, oh, what's left over here? And so that's what the cold storage report basically reports. Now, until we know how much was actually made, we don't actually know demand. But we'll get what was actually made here in the dairy products report probably in about another week. So when we start looking at this, we'll start with the revisions. And USDA actually revised down all the April numbers. Now, not too much. It looks like they revised down the cheese cold storage by about 5.5 million pounds, and they decreased the butter cold storage by about 500,000 or so. So when we look at these revisions, it would suggest that demand for cheese was probably a little bit better than we thought in April because there was less left over. But then we look at how it actually came in. The typical numbers were all low. Now, built into the typical change in cold storage was a 10 million pound decrease in demand. And so it actually came in even higher than that. Most of StoneX numbers were on the high side. All the typical numbers were on the low side. But to me, what this tells me is that demand for cheese in May be slightly worse than in April, because in April we put in about 5.7, adjusting for days, and a 10 million pound decrease in demand, and we should have put in about 3.6, and we put it in 9. So for a long time, we've been building cheese stocks, and we got them clear up to 1.5 billion. And then basically in 2023, we started reducing cheese stocks, and right now this has been coming down, and we're right at the expected seasonal adjusted level. Now, I think the one thing that's probably concerning to me is the fact that we've been increasing now for several months. Now, these troughs are very typical. When you go into kind of the fall of the year, you get these troughs. But again, we've been increasing fairly significant here. If we look at American stocks, it's always a question of we're drawing down something more than others, and American stocks are still hanging at 57.2% of the total cheese stocks. More or less the same story. We've been increasing quite a while, and then now we've been decreasing. And a year ago was considered a bit of an outlier in that regression there. Other cheese stocks, exactly the same thing. We've been increasing, and now we're decreasing. And again, just a very, I think, predominant V here that's probably more predominant than some of the others. We look at butter. These revisions would suggest a slight increased demand for butter, the same thing because we had less left over. But these actual numbers are probably a little bit worse than April, because again, we should have put in about 13.5, and that's even got a 3 million pound decrease in demand, but we actually put in almost 25 million. Butter stocks are very seasonal, much more seasonal than cheese. And again, we've been increasing for quite a while, and then we started decreasing. And this actually comes back clear about 2020. So we had a bit of a bop up here in 2021, and then an outlier down in 2022. So this week we had the cold storage report along with the third National Dairy Sales Report for June. And then we're going to have the agricultural prices on Friday. Now, in my Sunday podcast, and again, it's $200 a year if you want to get that, I'm going to talk about whether we should have been putting cheese in the cold storage based on the forward curves or not. And so that will put a better perspective as to whether we think that this is a bullish or bearish report.